It sounds in the moonlight.
Hey, buddies!
Hey, friends.
What a fucking day. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we are going to go ahead and start with our affirmation cards. I've shuffled them like
Yay.
50,000 times while we sat here and chatted before recording. So, we're going to go with this guy. This guy right here. Oh, I got two of them. Okay. Should I read both of them? Two of them?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is magic. I know it's going to be backwards, but it's got the little rabbit in a hat with a rabbit in a hat. That's cute. Says, I believe in magic. I see evidence of, oh my God, words. I see evidence of it all the time. And through, my brain's fucking scattered. Anyways, I believe in magic. I see evidence of it all the time. And though the tricks can probably be explained away by something sensible and ordinary, I'd rather not ruin the fun. Other people can fill their days with mere coincidences. I'll fill mine with holy crap, that's unbelievable. I fucking love this so much because, like, you know what I say all the time, there's no such thing as coincidences for starters. So I love that. And then the next one is this. I love these cards. Kenda, thank you. These are awesome. It's follow your heart. It's got a heart on a surfing board with an umbrella. Says, I'm always rewarded when I follow my heart. I trust that the GPS in my heart knows all the best routes, and when it seems like it's taking too long to get where I want, I know that's because there's some cool, weird stuff to see along the way.
We were just talking about that last week.
That's so crazy. And like it's very fitting with like everything that's been going on, you know, like, and you know, your heart, your intuition, the universe fucking got you. It's got you. So those are, I like these cards. Oops, I didn't mean to drop that. Sorry if you guys could hear that.
I didn't mean to hit my mic either, my bad.
But anyways, so do you want to tell our listeners / viewers what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so I think last week we talked about moving on and talking about the ego and diving a little bit deeper into that.
Awesome. I said awesome like I didn't fucking know. This is brand new information to me, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly go over this I guess like the science part of it. So you guys know that we have the id, the ego, and then the superego. And what Freud, Sigmund Freud, believes is like the id is more in line with your instincts, the ego is in line with your reality, and the superego is in line with your morality. I am going to kind of segue off of that because that's not how I look at it, like yes and no type of thing. So when it comes to your ego, to me, it's not really your reality because we know, like, I named my ego Penelope. So Penelope likes to twist reality and make it into things that aren't actually there to kind of fuck with my head type of thing. And then like it has a picture with like the id as the devil and then the superego as your angel, like morality. I kind of feel like the id would be Penelope fucking running her mouth, and then the super ego would be like my hype man, like the beast, and then ego would be my higher self, like if you base it on those pictures. But I don't know, what do you think about that?
I think that he's looking at it from a psychological standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking at it more from a spiritual standpoint.
Yeah.
And so while they might cross over each other and kind of have some commonalities, I
Mm-hmm.
think that uh the two kind of are same but different, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
I will tell you like what it says for like the science aspect of it. The id is the primitive and instinctive component of the personality. The id is part of the unconscious that contains all the urges and impulses, including what is called the libido, a kind of generalized sexual energy that is used for everything from survival instincts to appreciation of art. We have the Ego is the part of the id which has been modified by the direct influence of the external world. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling. The superego is incorporates the values and morals of society, which are learned from one's parents and others. So, like, that's the more sciencey part of it. But we're talking about spirituality things. So,
Yeah, so I think kind of in what we've kind of been talking about between, between you and I and how we reference like Veronica and Penelope, um, and some things that I kind of found on my own as well is that like the ego is a part of the mind that forms like one viewpoint
mm-hmm,
of the world based on your surroundings, right? So the ego also is the mind really at work more than I feel like it is anything else as
mm-hmm,
far as like personality traits or things like that, right? So the mind works like a database. And so anything that you encounter, sight, smell, feel, all your senses, but also things that happen to you in your life, good, better, and different, get stored in that database,
mm-hmm.
right? And then the ego or the mind tells you that when you're trying to encounter something new, it comes from a fear standpoint because the mind's job is to protect you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so through spirituality, we've given the mind a name, the ego, right? Uh, and so that person or that side of you comes in, the mind comes in and says, "Hey, this isn't safe. I don't like this. I don't have any information stored in here that says what happens if you do this." Right?
mm-hmm,
You can't do this. This is going to be terrible. Remember the last time you tried to do something
yeah,
like this? Oh shit, you failed miserably. We should not do that. You should just stay here. You suck at that. I have data in here with
yeah,
me that says you are not good at that. You should stop.
mm-hmm,
And so that's where like the ego comes in and kind of has that uh negative feeling about whatever it is that you're trying to do because it comes from a state of fear
mm-hmm,
because the mind limits you based on the information that it has stored inside of it.
yeah,
Uh, and so that's kind of where I see the ego. And so we give the ego or the mind a name, right? So it helps us discern, right, between is it the ego getting in the way, trying to help me protect me, right? Based off the information that it already has, or is this really my intuition telling me this isn't a good idea? So I think by giving it a name and identifying it, it helps you discern the information that you're receiving and go, nope, definitely feels like that's my ego,
yeah,
and I think that's where we get kind of that feeling that our ego isn't very kind to us, but it's really just the ego saying, "Hey, based on this information, it's all based on facts and facts don't have feelings, but it's only pulling from things that it has stored. It has no idea how to comprehend the unknown."
yeah. It's kind of like a survival mode too, because like
Yeah.
like you said, it's based on facts and maybe experiences that you've already had, and so you're like, remember what happened last time you went through this? Like you remember, and so it's just trying to it is trying to protect you, but it's like you can't put everything in the same box type of thing.
When it comes that's where the limiting beliefs come in.
Yeah.
90% of your limiting beliefs, well, really, I guess 100% of them come from that state of trying to figure out a problem or trying to make a decision based off of just the mind or the ego, right? Because again, when it has no reference, then it says, well, you can't do that, so why try? Or you did something similar and you failed, so we don't do that.
Yeah.
And so that's when we have to say, okay, thank you, ego, for your input. Uh, but I don't need that kind of protection right now. So please just go have a seat over there and let me figure this out.
Yeah.
Obviously, like if you're trying to do something like life threatening or, you know, something like that, listen to your brain. But
Yeah.
for what we're talking about, as far as like self image, self concept, self love, manifesting, living a more positive life and achieving all the things that you could possibly achieve, I you have to let the ego kind of take a back seat because it will always throw out that doubt or that fear because it doesn't have anything to reference because you've never done it before. Or you're coming at it, so maybe it is something similar that you have tried before and you feel really drawn to that path. That's probably your intuition telling you that, hey, this is where you kind of need to go. But your ego is saying, well, you went down that way before and it didn't turn out very well, but maybe you went down it in a different mindset. And so the result was not what it was meant to be. And so now your intuition is saying, hey, you're ready for this now because we're in a different place mentally, physically, spiritually, all the ollies. And let's try this again. So that's where stepping out of your comfort zone is really just stepping past the ego and telling the ego to just thank you for your input, but I really didn't ask for it. Unsolicited advice. Go have a seat in the back.
Yeah. I think this will be a good spot for me to show the video. We have to pause for like a second just so I can edit it properly because I thought I downloaded the video, but apparently I didn't. And so I'm going to kind of mess up the recording. So this is to kind of help. And we're good. All right. So let me get this video. Cause this is what, I guess started it for me because I saw this video and then I told Hallie about it because I had a session like that day and I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. Like, I love this thought process because it really does help with like slowing down the negative self-talk. So for those of you that don't know, you should definitely know who Mel Robbins is. She is a phenomenal motivational speaker, and I follow her on TikTok. Like she's a badass. So that's the video I'm about to show.
Right there.
Let me figure out sharing the screen. I'm new at this. All right, so present, share, and I'm gonna have to cut that part too, but anyways, hopefully I added the audio. Did I add the audio? I'm gonna have to do a lot of cutting. Stop screen, present, share, there we go. Okay, now we're back. All right, so like I said, this is Mel Robbins. Follow her on TikTok. This is the video that I first saw that really put things into perspective for me.
Oh, right there. Boom!
I struggle with the little voice in the back of my head that tells me that I'm not good enough, that there's something that could go wrong, that there's just always the voice that's stopping me from doing what I want.
I want you to name it. When you name the voice in your head, you use what's called objectivity, which means you give yourself a little bit of psychological distance from that voice. So do you want to give it a name right now?
Sure.
Okay. What's the name you want to give it?
Tina.
All right, Tina. Okay. When that voice comes up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, turn and kind of look in whatever Tina's direction is and be like, shut up, Tina. I got this. I want you to actually talk back to it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tina, get out of here. I'm going to go do this now. And then take the action. And slowly but surely, you will reclaim not only your life and this thing you deeply desire, but you will also reclaim and reprogram your whole mind. Got it? Awesome. I love you.
I fucking love it. Like I love it so much, that whole thought process. So that is, I guess, kind of a segue into how you can, I guess, in a way, control your ego to slow that negative self-talk down. That is definitely a method that I have been utilizing ever since I saw this video. Is like, all right, Penelope, shut the fuck up. But then there were times where Penelope would be like really bad, like really, like I could not shut her up. I had the rubber band in my hand or my wrist and I'd snap it and be like, just to kind of reset that nervous system, like shock the nervous system and be like, all right, Penelope, like seriously stop. And then she'd be like, haha, that didn't hurt. Here I still am. So I talked to Hallie about it and she was like, why not stop Penelope in her thoughts and then have a conversation with her and say, why are you feeling scared right now? What is it that you need? And so ever since I added that tool to my toolbox and I start having like a panic moment, like, all right, stop for a second, Penelope. let's talk about this. What are you missing? And I'm going to use like the issues with my mom right now. What is it that you need? Oh, I don't feel loved by my mom. That's fine. Because you know what? I love you. And we're all we need. Okay. And then we move on and the thoughts stop. Like what that does is it's like reprogramming your subconscious, which is obviously like a lot of the thoughts come from your subconscious to your ego and makes you go into those, you know, fight or flight survival modes to have those crazy thoughts. And doing that tactic for me, and obviously it's different for everybody, but that tactic for me has helped me so much to the point where if Penelope pops up, because every once in a while she'll be like, hey, Jen, what you doing? And then I'm like, what's up? And I'm able to like get through that so fucking quickly now, like dissect it. Prime example, should I talk about this? Prime example, I'm going to talk about it. So I had a moment of contrast with a coworker, and what ended up happening was the way the coworker came at me, I was like, who the fuck? Like that's what Penelope was saying in my head was like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? But obviously I can't talk like that at work. So I was like, stop for a second. Why are we feeling this way? We're feeling that way because it does not align with respect, because I feel very disrespected right now. And so then I was able to like, and I didn't stand there looking like a crazy person, like having this conversation. Like this is literally seconds that this is happening. And what ended up happening subconsciously was I was like, I'm sorry, what is what I said physically out loud to kind of give myself an extra second to cycle through what Penelope was feeling. And so then the person repeated what they said to me. And then I was like, all right. And I handled it in a more healthy, very non-aggressive manner. And I'm proud of myself for that interaction because like that could have went so south so quickly in so many levels because like, and so the more you practice, you know, with finding what works for you, the more you're going to get into, like when you get into these types of situations, you're going to be able to execute it so much quicker, and it's in a more healthy manner.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like I am trying to change some things around, like in my scheduling, trying to cram, you know, everything into a day. And so I decided to start my day earlier. And that seems like a pretty easy thing, right? Shouldn't be too hard. But man, I'll tell you what, Veronica, you can't do that. You're not good at that. Why would you even do that? You hate getting up. Why would you even? And I mean, just going on and on. It was like, hey, listen, every day is a new day to challenge yourself. And these are things that I have deemed important to me because I am allowed to take up space. And so, in order to manage it all, it has to start at this time. So, thank you for your input. Now, please shut the fuck up and kindly go sit in the corner. And I got this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
I was going to say, and I think this is like an important time to mention like your hype man. Like, I don't know if you've named your hype man yet. Like,
no, because I really feel like my hype man is still hasn't quite figured out how to get in the car yet.
oh my God, get your hype man in the car. Like, get Veronica in the back seat. Get your hype man right there in the passenger seat. But
so I feel like it's me versus Veronica right now, but
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll get there. We're
Mhm.
still growing, right? Newbie's on a spiritual journey.
yeah.
But so it is always there. And like you said, it becomes easier. And, you know, you had mentioned earlier about how when you were breaking it down, you're like, hey, this doesn't align with respect. And I don't know that we had a chance to mention where that comes from. So, Jen, I'll let you kind of share that because I believe it was Hallie who kind of put you onto that.
Yeah, so one of the very first exercises that Hallie had me do is figuring out what my core values were. And I did sessions with Hallie for 5 or 6 months, and we ended up doing it again, probably about our halfway point to see if anything changed with my core values, which they did. But respect is my number one. Like, that has never changed. And in fact, most of the time when I get angry or upset, a lot, like 95% of the time, it's because it's not in alignment with respect. Like I feel disrespected on some sort of level, whether I disrespected myself or whether somebody else disrespected me. Loyalty is also up there. You know, and it's not necessarily like, you know, friendship loyalty or relationship loyalty. It's like, am I being loyal to myself with the actions that I'm doing? So that's where all that came from. I'm not going to go through all my core values, but if you are interested, I can see if I can find the website. Definitely big shout out to Hallie for you know, putting me on that path, because that has been the biggest tool. That's like my sledgehammer in my toolbox. Like it is the biggest tool that I have that has helped me out with so much. So I will see if I can find a way to put that website on our Instagram, so that if you guys want to go through your core values, you can. The exercise that she had me do was like, you read through these core values and you pick out, like, you know, like your top 20, and then from that top 20 you break it down to, is that a bug? Was that a bug? Was that a bug on me? Did you see that? I felt something and then I saw it in the camera. I was like, oh my God. Hopefully it might be in my shirt. I'm hoping it was just a fuzz from my hoodie. Anyways, what was I saying?
You were talking about the exercise of narrowing it down from 20 to 10 to 5.
To where you break it down, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to limit yourself to 5. That was just, you know, what we started out with. You know, obviously people have a lot of core values. Like I think if I were to really look, like ultimately I have like 10 core values, but there's 5 that are just very, very important. There's actually 6, because, you know, 2 of them are actually tied for number 5, but that will help you when it comes to dealing with your Penelope or your, you know, Veronica, and dissect your feelings. Like, why are you feeling this way? Like, what are you missing, and what is it not in alignment with? And then, you know, how do I fix it, type of thing.
I would definitely recommend. It's worth a Google.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, competency is a big one for me. And I find that not only when I run into situations, like the other day, I was on the phone with someone and I was asking them for help, and she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm confused. Can you repeat that?" It was very, very infuriating. And normally I would have lost my shit and I'd have been screaming at this lady and calling her all sorts of names. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's her first day or first week, or maybe I'm not phrasing this in a way that's making any sense. So I'm obviously having a competency conflict right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if maybe we can work through this, right? Where normally, like I said, and like you said, it's not like I'm sitting there for 5 minutes without saying anything while I process this whole, it's milliseconds. All of this information is going through your brain and you're working through these things, and you're half listening to what's going on outside, you know, and around you as well. But I also know that for a long time, I would have conversations with people, and all of a sudden I would just start feeling my like hate fires, right? They'd ask me a question or whatever, and I'd just start feeling like all this anger building up inside of me. And now I can hear my tone changing, and now I'm being like really nasty. And then when it's all over, it's like, what was that about? That Why were you so nasty? That wasn't even like a big deal. And I realized that because you're questioning my competency to do something. And so then it was making me angry because I was having a conflict. And the fact that I feel like you're saying that I'm not competent at, you know, executing that task or completing whatever or answering that question, whatever it is. And so it really does help, because once you can figure out that that's what your problem is, then you can kind of, like you said, navigate your emotions. A lot of what we do is like we are very headstrong, or we deal with things with emotion first. And then when we step back and we process that situation later, we find that like, why did I say that? Or gosh, I really wish I hadn't of, or whatever it is. And it's because we let our emotions get the best of us because we're having some kind of conflict or contrast that we don't understand. And we've been saying it a lot through the last couple of episodes, is just being more aware of yourself. And like the ego is one of those things. So, the ego is the mind at work, and it stores the information where the last time you encountered this is how we reacted. So we're just going to do that same thing. And that's where what you were saying, and like all the different types of work on reprogramming that part of your brain to pause a moment, or connect with the core value, or any of the other things that we've talked about. It allows for us to actually think without clouds of emotion, which sometimes can impair our judgment. And really what it does is it decreases our ability to communicate with our higher self and our intuition, which are the things that really guide us, through life.
I think you like literally hit the nail on the head, like talking about, because that's like the biggest problem with a lot of us. I'm just as guilty. In fact, just this week, even with the moments of contrast that I'm having, as you're saying it, I was like, man, Jen, you kind of fucked up a little bit this week. Like you have been kind of reacting out of emotion, and that's what a lot of people do. And you don't think as clearly when you're reacting out of emotion. Like you got to take the emotions out of it and like look at the facts and like, okay, these are the facts. It doesn't align, which upsets me. But like, am I going to be loyal to myself and, be in touch with my higher self if I react this way versus this way, So that's
Or choose
perfect.
that path over this path,
Right.
and it doesn't always have to be anger and fear either. Sometimes we can feel, I know I'm guilty of it, overjoyed, and I get super excited about things, and I am like, oh man, this is amazing. And I'm like, yes. And then I calm down and I'm like, ooh, what did I do? Now I have to explain to my husband why we have 3 horses. Shit.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's just because you just needed to, yeah, it's exciting, but is it exciting because it's something you're passionate about? Right? Because when we're passionate about it, we have a tendency to stick with it. Or am I excited about it just because it's something new?
Hmm.
And I know that I'm a person who I like new things, but I know I'm also a person that like flits from thing to thing, and I have a hard time sticking with it. So when you're talking about taking on something like an animal, or, oh, that puppy is so cute, right? That's like a 10, 12, 15-year commitment. Like, are you ready for that all based off a cute face? You know? Uh, so it just gives you that moment to just, everything happens for a reason, and there are no wrong turns, but there are, what do you call those when you get like a detour?
Yeah,
That's the word.
there you go.
So you'll eventually be able to get back on track,
Hmm.
but when we find out ways to directly communicate with our higher selves and listen more to our intuition, it keeps us from having to take all those detours and arrive at where we wanted to be a little bit faster.
Yeah. And
And so, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
and I think having the tools in your toolbox because you got to start somewhere. Like it's not going to happen overnight. That's why I suggested like the rubber band on the hand or the wrist. I don't want to keep saying hand, but the rubber band on the wrist, naming your ego, and then getting your hype man in the car. Because I think I talked about this a little bit last week. Your hype man is literally there to just counter whatever, like, it kind of to counter your ego because it helps give you a second, and those extra seconds, especially when you're brand new at trying to process everything. It helps give you that extra time to really navigate through those emotions. So if Penelope's like, you aren't loved, you're a piece of shit, and then your hype man, who I named the Beast, is like, man, fuck that, you're extremely loved, like you're awesome, you're fucking great. And then it kind of gives you a second, like, okay, why am I not feeling loved right now? Oh, because I felt disrespected, and it was from someone that, like a loved one, like my mom. Like I feel disrespected, so that's why I'm feeling this way. But we know that's when your higher self will start communicating between both your ego and your hype man, and saying like, you actually are feeling love. Like I understand why you feel that way. You're valid in those feelings, but like that's not the reality. The reality is you are loved. You're just having a conflict right now, and that you got to find a way to navigate through that conflict.
because the ego is the mind at work who bases it off of information that it has stored. And it goes back to what we might have talked about last week. If not, doesn't matter.
No.
Just like that. It's gone.
Oh
Self-love popped in
no.
my head and that was not what I wanted to say. So it's not important. It must have been a lie.
Oh,
It'll come
definitely.
back to me.
It probably wasn't a lie. It was probably actually really fucking good, but it's okay. It'll come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did want to show another video, but I couldn't find it. Do you know who David Goggins is, right? I think we briefly
Yes.
talked about him. So for those of you that don't know who David Goggins is, he's known as like the toughest man in the world. Like this dude was like a Navy SEAL. He went through Ranger School. Like he went through all the schools. And this dude runs like 50 million miles a day. That not really, but this guy runs a lot. Like his story is so fucking inspirational. Like I love this guy. Like he's great. But one of the things that he says, and there was a Mel Robbins video, so you know this is like I guess a common thing within like the motivational world. But it's where we start reframing our mindsets. So like if Penelope's like, like you're Veronica, oh, you don't want to do that, you don't want to get up early and like trying to counter everything that you want to do. It's like, but what if I can? So you start changing it, like, but what if I can? Oh, you know what? You can't run 2 miles tomorrow. Like you haven't ran in months. But what if I can? And you get up and you go do it. And you might not run the full 2 miles. You might walk a little bit. You might just be at a leisurely jog. But it's like, you know what? You still accomplished something to work towards, your goals. So start reframing. That's where the hype man comes in, and comes in is like, but what if you can?
And the other one is isn't it wonderful? That's another good tool.
Yeah.
So when you start to feel that Veronica coming in and it's like, that's dumb or whatever, you can just be like, isn't it wonderful that I woke up and accomplished all of the things I wanted to accomplish today? And again, it just puts that in that reframe, that mindset of, and then what it is it gets you to actually feel that feeling that you're trying to feel.
Yeah.
So I know for me, again, example is I got a lot of shit on my plate. And so when I try to do it in the afternoon, something always comes up. Someone has a game or a parent teacher conference, or I got to pick up someone or whatever. Something always happens. And then no one is awake or started their day at 5 a.m. So if I could get up, and then I don't have to worry about anybody else because nobody else is awake. But I do that, and I know that the times that I have done it, I have such a spectacular freaking day because I don't have this cloud of dissatisfaction or feeling low or incapable because I didn't complete whatever it was I wanted to do today.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just this thing where it's like, fuck, I didn't get that done again today. And it just hovers over your head like this little gray cloud. So isn't it wonderful that I got up and got all the things that I wanted to get done before my day even started? Because I know I'm going to be like, fuck yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
And it feels great. It's awesome.
Oh my god, it's so funny. But it's
So,
great.
but when we feel the end state feeling, it's like it almost guarantees that it's going to happen because you already felt it. You already know what it is. And then it sets all of your intention and your focus on, yes, that's what I want. I want to feel like that. I want to feel like not a shitbag, right? I want to feel like I'm not lazy. I want to feel like I'm doing the most amazing things. And that, like you said, what if I can do it?
Yeah.
Ooh, what if I could do that? That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then it like you just focus on that, and that gets that whole like living in the ends thing, and it just like really look at me, I'm already excited.
Yeah, I know. Like you're getting me excited. Like, oh my gosh. So I want to circle back to the rain cloud
Yeah.
in a minute, because like we obviously, we're talking about negative self-talk, and I have other ways to counter that. But can you talk about, remember what you told me about when you start talking about like me, like, well, we both, we want to get up in the morning, but a lot of times, like, man, like I really need to get up in the morning so I can work
Oh
out. Like
yeah,
I really need to work out. So can you explain
sure.
that?
Yeah, so when we come from a place of I need to, I have to, I really should, right? It comes from a place of lack, and it comes from a place of obligation. And so we feel like we have to do these things because of whatever reason. Okay. But when we reframe that and we say, I want to do this, or I desire this result, or it comes from a place of positive. It's not whatever the opposite of lack is. Uh,
Fulfillment.
yeah, there you go. I like it. Uh, vocabulary always tripping us up.
Yeah.
But it comes from a place of fulfillment, right? Which makes us feel good. And so now we're more inclined to actually do it because it's something that we want to do. Just think about like when you're a kid at Christmas. You don't want to get up for school because you have to, because my mom wants me to, because everybody says I have to. But come Christmas, you're up at like 4 a.m. because you want it. You're excited about it, right? And I so when we come from a place and we say things like I want to, or and when we say I want to, it has to be a desire to do it,
Yeah.
not like a want because I want it because I don't have it. It's a I want it because like I can feel it, like it's a passion, it's a desire, it's a feeling of this is going to be amazing, and it kind of reprograms the mind like yeah, I want to do that.
And I
That
think
looks like
that's
a lot
I
of
think
fun.
that's the important thing too, is just like you can't just say I want to, because like, there's times like I test it out at night before I fall asleep, like I want to get up early. Like, and I set all the alarms. Like I literally every morning I'm really trying, and I'm like I want to get up early in the morning so I can work out. And if I'm just kind of like, yeah, I want to, but I'm not really feeling it, I'm not getting up early. But if I
Because in the back of your mind, and a lot of the time you can feel that division where in your conscious mind, you're
Mhm.
like, I want to do that. But in your subconscious mind, you're like, no, I really
Really
don't.
don't want to do that.
So we have to reprogram the back half of our brain to match with the front half of our brain, right? So that we actually do want to do it.
Yeah.
And so going back to what you said, I really like that one. But what if I did?
Yeah.
And it poses a whole nother way of looking at, oh shit, but what if I did?
Yeah.
Well, if I did, then I do this and I do that. And then also you can at night you can say that same thing. Not only do I want, but there was another one that we said earlier that it'll come back to me. God, my brain.
It's this week. Something's going on with the full
Telling
moon
you.
that we just had.
But it's all about however it makes you feel. So however you want to phrase it, that in a way that, "Oh, the isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Isn't it wonderful that I got up this morning?" Even though it's still nighttime,
Hmm.
right? We're preparing ourselves now for future self, right? So future self is up at 5 a.m. So isn't it wonderful I got up at 5? Or isn't it wonderful I did whatever it is that you're trying to achieve? And when we kind of go to bed with that kind of thought process, again, you're kind of painting a picture in your mind. So you're using visualization and you're using emotional visualization because you're feeling what it feels like to be in that space.
Yeah. And
And
essentially, you
it's like a
are,
giant magnet. And
but
it's like
essentially, you are,
manifesting.
there you go. There's manifesting 101 for you guys. All right.
Yay.
So let's go back to the rain clouds. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, you can say and you can feel and like feel all the feelings, but sometimes it's not going to happen. Like sometimes your manifestations are not going to come to fruition. And when that happens, you get that rain cloud. Fuck, man. I didn't get up early this morning. I'm so mad at myself. I feel like a shitbag. That's when you have to start reframing those rain clouds, because like I did it a lot, especially when it comes to working out, because like I've been saying this for a while. Like I just, especially since I got sick, like I want my old body back. Like I want to be back to, picking up heavy things and putting them back down. Like that's what I want to do. It's just, sometimes it just doesn't happen because my body won't let me. But for a while, I'd get so mad at myself, even if I'm not going to work that day. And I'm like, I have the whole day, but I'm just like on the couch because I just don't have the energy. And then I get even more mad at myself, and it's just bringing me down more. So you reframe it and you think like, okay, it's okay that you did not get up to do the things, because your body your body knows what it needs. And obviously my body needed the rest because, I've been sick. So don't be so hard on yourself, or try not to be so hard on yourself, and try to reframe every time you have, Penelope in your ear with those negative thoughts, like, you're such a piece of shit, you didn't work out today. Like even 15 minutes, like you could have just done 15 minutes. Then you're like, you know what, Penelope, I hear you and I appreciate your input, but my body didn't need that today. So shut the fuck up.
But I said with all due respect.
With all due respect.
Yeah, 100%. No, and doing it right in the moment
Yeah.
is key. As soon as you
Yes.
start to feel it coming on, you're like, okay, hold on. We're unraveling here. So we talk about all these things and all these tools and how eventually it becomes like not even a measurable amount of time that it takes you to rein it all back in. And this is every day, every moment, all the time. So we talk about this on here all the time about how we have to remind ourselves, or we have to remind each other, that, hey, man, it's all right. Let's reframe that in a different way and keep it moving. You know, tomorrow is another day, right? And that's all it is you just keep trying, you just keep moving, you just keep collecting the tools, putting them to use. When that one doesn't work, you try something else, or you combine the two together, and it it becomes easier, and every day it becomes less and less that you have to remind yourself, the more you start to reprogram your mind. Um, but it goes back to not being hard on yourself. It's okay. It's okay to, I don't even want to say fall off the wagon, but it's okay to fall back into old patterns
Mm-hmm.
as long as you don't stay there.
Yes.
That's the biggest key.
Yeah.
And every little teeny tiny thing that you do that's just a little bit better than last time is a step forward.
100. I fucking love it. Absolutely. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I don't know what else we have. But like, I think
Notes. Yeah, the notes that I had, we kind of covered those. They were really just kind of the scientific-y part. I knew that Penelope was gonna be enough for us to really give some good examples.
Yeah,
And
she's a bitch.
as always, if anybody has like any questions or, you know, further elaboration on any of it, but just know at the end of the day, you got this.
Yeah, just remind yourself you're awesome. You're loved. Even if other people don't love you, it's fine, because you love yourself. Because we taught you how to. Did we teach you? Is that the right phrase? We gave you pointers on how to get back to loving yourself, and now we've I think definitely covered like the negative self-talk and like how to deal with that. I definitely have like a ton of tools for that, because that's been one of my biggest fucking obstacles, is dealing with Penelope. Because I'm telling you, like, Penelope, I think if she was like in a human form, it wouldn't even be a human form. Like, she would be like the most evil dragon you've ever seen. Like, she's a fucking bitch. Like, I love her, but I can't stand her. And she just has to stay in the back seat with her headphones on while me and my hype man are just driving down the fucking road.
With their mouth taped shut.
I mean, for the longest time, I had her ass in the trunk, but like, you can't
mind your beeswax.
You can't have like, you can't completely silence your ego, because your ego is there to help you with those survive. Like, you don't want to just be oblivious, like la la la, walking through the world and like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna let everybody, because the benefit I feel that comes with Penelope is knowing what boundaries to set up with people.
Sure.
And I definitely think that's like a topic for another day, is talking
Oh
about
yeah. Oh
boundaries.
yeah.
So but yeah, so hopefully this was helpful. Like Liz said, if you guys have any questions, want us to elaborate on anything, you can email us at the Cosmic Compass Podcast at gmail.com. You follow us on Instagram, on the Tiki Taki. I made a link tree for us, but for some reason I cannot put the link tree in our TikTok, but it is linked on our Instagram. So literally all of our links are there for YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, and an email. So if you want to email us directly, just click the little email button. It's not the letter button.
It's an envelope.
It's an envelope. That's the word I was looking for. Click on the envelope and it'll, send us an email and all that. So
Oh man, you and I are gonna have to like read a book or something like.
I blame, what do I want to blame? I blame myself. It's just it's been really chaotic, and I've been drinking Mountain Dew, and I shouldn't be, because it's really bad for the pineal gland, which is something that we can talk about later on. So I need to tomorrow actually drink my tea with my Shilajit and try to get some of that funk cleared out, and do some meditation tonight, and scrub off the negativity. Oh, and speaking of, did you have your session with Lori on Monday?
It's so funny. I was so connected. I was like, "Ooh, you know what? We should have started with this."
We
but I did
should have.
have my session.
But it's
with
okay.
Lori.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. It was super cool. They always are. Funnily enough, I keep forgetting that there's a time difference. And so I'm like, la 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 la, thinking I have an hour. And then Lori calls me and she's like, "Hey, you never text me back. Are you ready?" And I was like, "No." I was literally standing in the middle of a field. And I'm like, "Hold on, Lori. Let me just get somewhere comfortable."
Coming.
So funny. So now my heart's like pounding and I'm like frantically all over the place. And my husband's doing work on the house. So I didn't want to be in there because there's like nowhere quiet to be. So I was like, "All right, Lori, guess what? We're going to change this up and I'm just going to sit outside." So it wound up being like the perfect spot, of course, right? Because nothing is coincidental. I have like a little bench on my back porch, and I sat there and I was all bundled up because it was a little bit kind of chilly out that morning. And so we kind of just like, I don't want to say rushed into it, but we like hurry up and got things set up because she had an appointment like immediately after me. And now we're like 10 minutes into the session. And the goal was inner child work.
Hell
And
yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect. And when I had booked the appointment, she told me to like maybe think about some things that I thought were issues or trauma or whatever, that that we could kind of go from there and stem from there. So I couldn't really think of anything that was like really stuck out. So she was like, "It's cool, we'll just kind of get started and we'll just see what happens." And it was like an unbelievable release of I don't even know what. And that was the crazy thing. She was talking, she wasn't saying anything like specific, right? She was just like, "Hey, you're here with your inner self." And like in my brain, I'm like, "Oh, little Liz." And then I was like,
Oh no.
it wasn't sadness. And I wasn't like bawling like all audible like that, but like, I mean, because my eyes are closed because we're doing like a meditation. And it was weird because we're virtual because I'm in Kansas and she's in Connecticut. And so I'm sitting outside. The ducks are like, I don't know, 10 feet behind me. I got the neighbors. I live kind of on like a high traffic road. And it was like the world stopped for like the 45 minutes or an hour that we were doing this. I heard nothing. She heard nothing. And it was like when the session was over, like pandemonium started. Now there's like these big Because I have fields across the street that they're harvesting right now, so there's, like, these big combines driving by and, like, a line of school buses, like, every big vehicle started, like, coming down this road. So it was just crazy because I we were, doing, like, a visualization of, like, me on the beach with my younger self, and I shit you not, I heard a fucking seagull, like, in my actual conscious 3D space that I was physically sitting in, and Lori was actually the one who mentioned it and was like, "It was the weirdest thing. I thought I heard a seagull." And I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm, like, landlocked. There are no
Yeah.
fucking seagulls here, but I heard
Wow.
it too. It was so crazy. It was just really crazy, but it was really great, and, her and I talked about how it was really not so much like, she didn't really pick up on anything, like, traumatic or negative, but she was like, it was really almost like it was, like, connecting back to that part of yourself and allowing yourself to have fun, and things don't have to always be serious, and, like, I don't get visions like you do, but I do get, like, I call it, like, when you play the cloud game, when you look at the clouds and you say, "Hey, that looks like a dragon," or "That
Yeah.
one looks like." I kinda had these, but they're black because everything in my mind is, like, all lit up, and it's like a puppet show or like a shadow show. Anyway, so there were, like, these rolling kind of cloud-like images that kinda blob like a lava lamp, but, like, into something really quick, and, like, I can't really make out exactly what it is, but I can feel what it means, and I think that was the part that was, like, overwhelming for me. So it came out in the form of tears, but it was just, like, a whole bunch of emotions, you know? Uh, and it was just great, and, like, when we were done, she was like, "I feel lighter for you." Like, I feel like you worked through whatever it was. Like she said, I didn't feel anything, like, super negative, um, but I feel like whatever it was, that block maybe, is gone. And I was like, "Me too." Like, I felt fucking fantastic.
That is
Like, if you've
awesome.
ever had, like, a really great massage or, like, ever just experienced something that you were like, "Yes, that was fucking great," right? That's how I felt. It pumped me for the whole freaking day, and she was like, "I just feel like whatever this is, like, permanent." Like, to just it's, like, gonna stick. It's not something that, like, is gonna come back. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yes, that's how I feel." And, like, that's just how I felt since then, and I don't know what it was or how to describe it,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I immediately booked another
That's
appointment
awesome. So
to go over something different, but yeah, next time we see each other, it's gonna be about, chakra balancing. I'm
nice.
super excited.
So have like I mean, I obviously it's only Thursday. Well, it'll be Friday for those that are watching, but um since it's only been a couple of days, like have you done anything to where you're letting your inner child come out and play? Because that might be the block.
Yeah, 100%. So I keep getting these signs that because as a kid, and I mean, really as an adult too, I never really grew out of it. I'm kind of weird and I do like silly things and whatever. And I would have to say the answer is really no. I had ice cream today,
Hell
which is
yeah.
something that I don't really do a lot, and it was so good. If
Yeah.
you live near a Freddy's, we do not aren't affiliated with them in any way, but they have a seasonal pumpkin pie concrete, I think it's called.
Hmm.
Eat it. Eat
Yeah.
it. It's like pumpkin pie in a cup in, like, shake form. It's amazing. Um, but I'm working on that. I
Yeah.
really am. And I think that's a lot of what it is. It's just a lot of all this, like, responsibility and, like, "Gotta get this done. I gotta get that done," kinda like what we were talking about before we started. And, I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying, but I do definitely feel like on the inside, I don't feel like I'm missing out or anything or need to
Mhm.
go like start doing the hokey pokey in the hallway. I just feel lighter. I
Yeah.
just feel like I don't know. It's okay to dance to the music in the freaking, in the store
Yeah.
or, be a little fun. I find that my daughter and I laugh a little bit more together and she's 13 and I'm sorry, she's gonna kill me. She's 14, almost 15. And, again, I can't describe it, but it was just freeing,
That's
whatever it was,
that's
so
really awesome, and I'm super happy for you on so many levels because like we have to do an episode about inner child work and like letting your inner child come out to play. And I think now that you're like back connected with your inner child, you're gonna start doing the little things like you already did. You had ice cream, and that's not something you normally do. But I'm
No.
also really excited for you because, buddy, that's where it starts with the visions. At least it was for me, where it just kind of started out as blobs. So like now that you know what to kind of look for as you're like in that state, and because my problem is I can hone on it a little bit more now. Like I obviously have not perfected it, but it's definitely gotten advanced because I told you I get like the Audible stuff now. But when you can start focusing on those blobs a little bit better, eventually they're going to come in as like actual visions. You might like the first time you get a very vivid one, you're gonna be like, what the fuck was that? Like, oh my god, that was crazy. Like I saw colors and everything. So like, but I'm telling you, like that's how
I
it
do
started.
get, like, little blips every now and again. It's
Yeah.
like, and again, this is where I'm really excited about the chakra balancing, because I wonder sometimes if I'm not just a little off kilter just somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, like, sometimes I'll be laying there at night, whatever, and I usually listen to frequency music when I go to sleep. It just really helps put me in, like, a woo-saw moment, and I'm out, like, in 2 freaking seconds. And sometimes I'll be laying there, and I'll, like, get this, like, blip of a color, just like, blip,
Yeah.
and then it'll be, like, a different color, and then it'll stop. It'll do, like, 1 or 2 times, and it'll stop. I'm like, "Where'd you go?"
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too is, like, sometimes when I, like, concentrate too much, my eyes wanna see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about your eyes, it's
Mm-hmm.
about your mind's eye.
Yeah.
And so my brain's like, "Wait, oh, wait, oh, oh." So then I
Yeah.
find my eyes are trying to open, like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
And there have been a few times where I just didn't really think it was anything
Mm-hmm.
because it didn't make any sense. Like, I'd be going to fall asleep, and then something very clear would show up, but it'd be like a candy skull. The fuck am I seeing candy skulls for? Or it'll be like a Halloween mask,
Mm-hmm.
but it's vivid. It's not like a blob. It's like,
Yeah.
but it's like for not even a measurable amount of time. It's like, as soon as you
Yeah.
see it, it's gone.
So
So,
a trick is
I love
to not.
tricks.
This was the trick for me, and if any of you out there that are listening or watching have visions and you have other tricks, please share them, because like I said, I have not been able to completely get a grasp
Alright.
of. No, you're good. Completely get a grasp of my visions, but what I've learned to do is as I'm there, I just stay in whatever thought process I'm in. And as it's coming through, yes, like I can feel the excitement because I'm like, oh my God, it's here.
It's happening.
But oh my God, it's happening, everybody, get ready. But what I do is I try to keep that excitement down and not concentrate on it completely. Like you kind of hit on it a little bit. So you don't want to focus on it completely. You just want to let it happen. And then
Mhm.
that's when you'll start seeing the things a little bit more vivid, and they'll stay a little bit longer than just that blip. Because like that's how it all started for me, was like it'd be a blip, like wait, no, come back, like I wasn't done looking at you,
Right. They
come
wanna
back.
stare at you like a photograph
Yeah,
and
like
analyze you.
it was kind of like when I went into my past lives. I told you guys about the Warriors. Well, there was another vision that I got. Like there was actually two very vivid visions that I got. One was the Warriors, and then the other one was like a grandfather clock. So I was like in some
Right.
house, and like as I saw the clock and it started to disappear, I'm like, no, like I wanted to check the house out. Like, where am I? Type of thing. So I got too excited and it fucking went away. Sads. But maybe one day I can do another venture to my past
Newbies.
fucking noobs. But that's really, I'm super excited for you. I'm really glad that you got to, reconnect with little Liz, and I'm really excited to see where that takes you.
Yeah, me too, and I, like, just am so grateful of, like, how we came together,
Yeah.
because I don't know that I would be here without you and your, like, awe-inspiring conversations. I'm like, "That's really cool, and that's really interesting." Not what I expected to come out of your face, but That's really cool. Well, because we've talked about this and how you were a little bit more like introverted, and you know, I don't think anybody's really going to understand this, but you're our active component liaison in a
Mhm.
reserve component office. So you're like the kind of like,
Literally the black
what
sheep of the
the
family.
fuck is going on
Yeah.
here? This is pandemonium.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of an outsider,
Mhm.
and it's just not what you expect, I guess, from someone who spent their like whole life, in the army, and especially like what you do, and like what you've done with your, in your life with your career. You've done some really badass shit, and like it's not often that you find like this super badass person who has a fucking working dog and like all this cool shit. And she's like, but also reframe that positivity, friend. Come on, buddy.
Oh my god.
But I love it. I love it. I love it. And I
Yeah.
think that I think it's super great. And this is so freaking awesome.
Yeah. I mean it is, and I feel the same way because like I was very like, like at the first year and a half I'm like I don't really talk to anybody. I'm just here like
She's like,
I fucking hate it here like, "Hey, what's up? Cool.
you guys are dumb.
Going back to my office." Cuz well most of the time a lot of it is because like when I get comfortable in places like I do open up. Like I'm
Yeah.
very introverted, but like then I become very extroverted. But like even after like I was comfortable there, I was just like I don't know what they're fucking talking about. Like 90% of the time like I have no clue, so I'm gonna just exit because like and people are going to be really surprised to hear this if any like military people are listening, but you would not think that the active duty world would be that different from the reserve world as far as like terminology and like daily operations goes. It is literally fucking night and day. And there are even being here for almost 2 years, there's still times where I'm like, yeah, sure, I know exactly what you're talking about. No, I don't. Like I don't. I have no idea. Like I'm literally faking the funk like every single day because I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll just push this button and then we're done, right? Like I don't know. I'm doing good so far, I guess. But yeah, so like that was really why like I wasn't really opening up too much, is because like I felt like I couldn't relate to anybody, so I was just like, I'll just be here in my world and be weird by myself. And then it was that one day, like I was just like, fuck it. And like you had said something, and I don't even remember what it was that you said, but I was like, positivity, Jen. Hey, buddy, why don't you try this? And then that just fucking floodgates open, and now here's Liz and Jen on the Cosmic Compass having an awesome fucking time on this show.
Yeah. It's super great. I feel like our first interactions were like that TikTok noise you hear, and it's like, hello, hello, your doorbell doesn't seem to be working.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, it is.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that is funny. But
All right. Well, again, any questions, hit us up. Any like comments or, thoughts, discussion provoking. Also, because then we could, like you said, have a listener day and really just dive into all of those things and be super
Yeah.
cool. And I think maybe next week we might be ready to talk about manifesting a little bit, unless
Yeah.
there's something else that you wanted to kind of lead into. So that'll be kind of our topic for next week.
No, like honestly, I think we did. I think we hit all the building blocks to get to the manifesting. So I think yeah,
And then that's going to be a really good one.
yeah.
There's like so many different ways that you can do it, and it's so amazing when you do it and understand it, and
Yeah.
you're going to be like, there's no fucking way
Yeah.
that life is this easy.
Yeah, but it is.
But it is.
It
All right,
is.
buddy.
All right, you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.
Bye, friends.
Bye, buddies.